Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mtgo and we are drafting M14 here at Simon Says. I opened up Liliana's Reaver, which is certainly a nice card, just a very good package. There is Enlarge and Opportunity though, two of the best uncommons in the format, and I love Opportunity. I think it might be stronger overall because you can actually build decks that gain an inevitability that is just not matched by any other card in the format. Cards like Archaeomancer also mean that it's just almost impossible to beat once you get going. I think Liliana's Reaver is the tighter package and probably a little better, but I really want to try out Opportunity to see if it's as good as I think it is. And yeah, that means I'm gonna pass the black card here. Okay, it looks like there's a Tenacious Dead, so that would most definitely be my pick had we picked up the Liliana's Reaver, but now we can more or less just see what we have. There's Chandra's Phoenix. I don't think it's that amazing. In the last draft video I did, there was Chandra's Phoenix, which I also didn't pick. I just think that a 2/2 flyer with haste is fine, but not a card that you have to pick super early. The cards I like most in this pack are Shock, Rumbling Baloth, and Tenacious Dead. There's an argument to be made that we want to put our left neighbor into black, so it would be better for us not to go that direction. A Rumbling Baloth is fine, but it might not be the card that we want most in a deck with Opportunity, because I want some more spells, and in particular I want the removal spells to complement the blue card advantage cards, which is why I'm going to pick Shock. Okay, wow, that's pretty insane. There is Jace's Mindseeker, 6 mana 4/4, and then you might get an instant or sorcery from your opponent. There is a second Opportunity, Trained Condor. So first of all, blue is most definitely open, and the other good cards in the pack are probably Marauding Rollhorn and a Cursed Spirit, maybe a Trollhide. I'm just going to take a second Opportunity. I think we can really build a deck around Opportunity now, and even though that's a 4/4, I like drawing cards better. Wow, this is getting pretty insane. Now, Archaeomancer and Colossal Whale are the cards that we can really consider here. None of the others are particularly interesting. Archaeomancer looks a lot weaker than Colossal Whale, but with the cards we have so far, it could be one of the best cards in our deck. Colossal Whale is just a huge threat that we can drop with 7 mana, and then it's going to be pretty good, maybe sometimes amazing, sometimes okay. I believe that picking Archaeomancer has its merits here. There is a slight chance that we put people in blue with the Jace's Mindseeker and then the Colossal Whale, but I think that risk is something I'm willing to take. Okay, first saw the Sea Kite, so that's something that I would like to have in our deck. I think it's a lot better than Sensory Deprivation. The red cards here are just fine, but not spectacular. This is the wrong staff. We can start looking out for the blue stuff now that we are picking up all these blue cards. Okay, that's a very late Young Pyromancer, and I think we're just going to slam it here. The only card that comes close is Blood Baron, and we have tried to pass black cards, and Young Pyromancer works really well with what we have so far. Okay, that's a second Tenacious Dead. Quite late also. I like to pick it up really early, but the other players at the table seem to disagree. I'm just going to stick to blue here. I want my left neighbor to be in black, and hopefully we can keep him out of blue. Here it's an interesting decision between Coral Merfolk and Seacoast Drake, and even though Seacoast Drake is a better defensive card, sometimes having 2 power on a creature is just what you want if your opponent is attacking with ground creatures, for example. But I'm still going to take the Seacoast Drake here, simply because it gives me a cheap way to block all flyers. And Archaeomancer Reeled. So first picking Opportunity over Liliana's Reaver gives us the additional bonus of picking up a second Archaeomancer, which should make our late game absolutely insane. I'm gonna... Oh wait, what is happening here? Tenacious Dead still in the pack. I don't think that should happen. I'm going to take it out because we can hopefully find a replacement for that Armored Cancrix anytime. And there would be one. Frostbeth is a fine card, but it's a tempo card, and I'm not looking to tempo people out with this kind of deck. So even something like a 2/5 is a better card for us. I'm not looking to play Wild Guess because of the double red mana cost, and it's quite unlikely that we're going to go for Duress. I'm going to take Lava Axe, even though I'm going to be playing Control. Once the amount of Archaeomancers reaches a certain point, I think it isn't unreasonable to just kill people with Burn. And, well, Lava Axe is quite efficient for that. Okay, that was quite an interesting pack, especially like the first pack, but then also the choice between the second opportunity and Colossal Whale. I'm aware that the signaling might not have been perfect there. We probably get a better signal if we don't pick Archaeomancer, but rather the 7 mana Whale. But I think the Whale is a little bit overrated in draft anyway, and one of the ways this deck can just fail easily is by opening up with hands with too many 5, 6, 7 drops. Nonetheless, we're going to take a 5-drop here. Ur7 is the only blue card in the pack, and it's better than pretty much everything. Bogbrew Ridge is fine, and there is some black removal spells, but we get an Air Servant out of the deal, so nothing to complain about. And here it's Pacifism competing with Messenger Drake. It's really all the cards that we really want. Even currently we are looking at splashing red with only a couple of mountains, Shock and Young Pyromancer, and being mono blue otherwise. So I see no reason to pick something like an Elvish Mystic, which would probably be the card that we strategically want most. There's also a Glimpse of the Future in the pack, which might actually wheel, so I don't think we are going to have trouble with the amount of playables we're picking up. Bonescythe Sliver is in this pack, the double strike sliver, but we are heavily committed to a blue card advantage deck, so I'm going to pick Divination here. I think we might just want an 18 land deck that ensures it's a steady stream of cards with cards like Divination, Opportunity, and Archaeomancer. Okay, once again not the right staff for us, and Corrupt isn't interesting because of the mana requirements. It also looks to me that our left neighbor decided against picking black cards, even though we passed Liliana's Reaver, which is quite interesting. Maybe he just didn't get enough black cards otherwise, or his first pick just put him into a different strategy. Child of Night and Corrupt are both really good black cards here, but Negate, Cancel, and Wall of Frost offer good options for us. I'm optimistic that we can get more counter spells later on, so I'm going to take Wall of Frost as an absolutely amazing ground blocker for any blue deck. Okay, I think we've seen every staff now but the blue one. But there's still hope. There's still some more packs to see. And this has to be the second Seacoast Drake. I don't want to pick the double red card. And I've already said that I like Seacoast Drake better than Coral Merfolk. And if you just add up a lot of high toughness creatures, that's just actually really good. Also means that we aren't as much in danger of cards like Flames of the Firebrand or Shrivel. Okay, Elixir of Immortality is a card I really like, especially in a deck with Divination and 2 opportunities, so I'm going to snatch that up. Traumatize isn't really an option. All the other cards don't really work for us. Sliver Construct looks like we would never want it in our deck, but it does block the 2 Intimidate creatures at common, Academy Raider and the Accursed Spirit, so that's just something to keep in mind. Next up, another staff, the green one. There is Bubbling Cauldron, but this is probably one of the few decks where we don't want a Bubbling Cauldron. We won't have many creatures, and it's not going to serve any other purpose. I'm going to pick the time map here. It's still good against auras, and sometimes it gives you a little bit of tempo, which you might need. It's definitely not. It's not bad to play it. I just don't think it's particularly good. Not interested in the Shortcutter. I don't think that's going to be a card I really want. The effect is also not something I'm looking for. So I'm gonna pick Dwarf Destinies, mostly because I don't want to play against it. Here I could make a similar pick. I don't really want to play against Trollhide. Even though with blue I do have some options to get around that. It's still the card from these, it's the card that has the biggest danger of killing me without me doing much about it. Here Glimpse the Future is actually reasonable with 2 Archaeomancers. It's not much worse than a Divination, so I'm just going to take that. Spell Blast is a card I'm not looking to play, but I'm definitely not playing any of the other cards. And Negate Wield, so that's a nice pickup. Let's take the red staff. Of course we aren't going to play it. And that's where we are after 2 packs. Probably we can probably just hide some more stuff, but who knows, if we pick up a white bomb or something, then we might still change gears here, but currently probably looking to splash the red cards. Even that isn't a necessity. A second Air Servant looks like a great pickup. There is a Messenger Drake, and in the deck we're trying to draft, those are almost the same power level, I would say, but having 4 power is just something that is going to help us against Rumbling Baloths and Sarah Angel, something that Messenger Drake alone just can't do. We do have the Seacoast Drake to combine with Messenger Drake, but it's still better to take the Servant. And last but not least, we just don't want to play against the activated ability. There is a Chandra's Outrage, but I want to minimize the amount of mountains I'm playing. And with an Outrage, I would just have to play quite a lot of them. Whoa, Scavenging Ooze, Sarah Angel, both in the pack. Quite interesting, because both of these are really powerful in Limited, but the best card for us is probably Shock. We don't need a Zephyr Charge. We don't have Dismiss into Dreams as a 7-mana combo enchantment. We don't need a third Seacoast Drake, and even then we might wheel it. So yeah, Shock is actually a pretty good pickup for us. It gives us things to do early on in the game, if we have drawn our red, and some more spells to get back with Archaeomancer. Let's hide the black now, and we are probably not playing Lava Axe either, but this gives us a better idea of our curve, which is quite high, but I think we can make it work. This pack is interesting, and I'm actually not sure what we should take. I don't really like picking a red card because I want to minimize the amount of mountains I play, and I don't think I need the loot ability on Academy Raider when I have Divination, Glimpse the Future, and 2 opportunities. We could pick Scroll Thief. It's a creature, it's a blocker. Sometimes it's going to draw a card. The question is if Shimmering Grotto has a chance of being a better card for us. But I really don't want to pay 2 mana for my Shocks. I'm just going to take the Scroll Thief. This pack has Angelic Accord, which is quite good in the right deck, but not in ours. And then it's really only red cards, because we don't want to play Merfolk Spy. I think the best red card is Goblin Diplomats, and the Fire Kit is also reasonable. I hope that we don't have to play either of them, but I'm going to take the Diplomats. Like I said, I'm not going to prioritize Lava Axes at all, so I'd rather have the 2-drop. Here we have Divination, Time Map, and Disperse, with one of the blue bone spells even having the potential to come back once again. It's not super likely, but I like my Divination, so I'm going to just go all in the spirit of Louis Scott Vargas. Once again, not the right staff, but let's just see what we have. we could copy some triggered abilities, but I don't think there are many. Chroma, Folk, Academy Raiders, or Negate. We already have one Negate, so that's the counter that we want the least. And Academy Raider is off color and doesn't do that much for us. Maybe it's just Chroma Folk. Maybe just in the sideboard against very aggressive decks. Yeah, I could see that. We could pick up Negate, but I don't think that we are going to be countering a lot of non-creature spells. There are some that are really hard to beat, like Planeswalkers, but then there are others which we really actually want to see, like the weaker auras in the format or something like that. That's a pretty late Claustrophobia, which I'm just going to pick up. We don't want Illusionary Armor, and Claustrophobia is also better than Canyon Minotaur and Dragon Egg. A third Archaeomancer looks great. Nothing to say here, really. Now, Messenger Drake and Disperse Wheel. There's also the Sliver construct I talked about, which does block the Intimidate creatures, although we do have 2 shocks also. Young Pyromancer makes red tokens, so we can block Academy Raider or kill it with shock quite easily. Disperse is nice with the Archaeomancers because we can basically buy them back as many times as possible. I just feel that Messenger Drake is too powerful to pick something like a Disperse over it. Here it's the third Seacoast Drake. Now things aren't looking that great anymore, but we do get an artifact creature for the sideboard for the Intimidate matchups. Yeah, this is looking pretty good. I like it. Probably not playing the Spell Blast, not playing the Diplomats, and then we can just play five mountains for 3 red cards, which should give us a very good mana base. And here, yeah, I don't really see us activating Dragon Hatchling all that much. Lava X is also a card that we don't necessarily want to play against, so kind of happy about that. Dwarf Destinies isn't going to make our deck. Let's see, we have an Elemental, a Drake, a Bird, a Human Wizard. Yeah, I don't think that's happening. Actually, we have quite a lot of Drakes. Doomscar, well, that was probably a mistake. The Smell that was also still in the pack would actually have been the better sideboard cards. I just saw this and thought maybe we would get into some kind of situation where milling was actually relevant, and then we do have 3 Archaeomancers, but we also have Elixir of Immortality, so it's actually, if somebody's getting decked, it's most likely not us. So that was a mistake. I just clicked too fast. Don't think that forcing our opponents to attack is all that great for us, because, well, if they aren't attacking us, then we are probably winning with our late game. Let's see, I do know that Sam Black is an absolute expert on these kind of decks, but he has been tweeting stories of Staff of the Mind Magus, I'm not sure how it's called. Also, so this is a card that we are definitely missing. But I think that this is still a great deck. No complaints about that. Now, with all the card draw, I definitely want the Elixir, and I think that the Red Splash is worth it. We could just say we are playing mono blue, which would make our mana much better, of course. But I think having 2 shocks and a Young Pyromancer in the triple Archaeomancer deck has to be worth it. I think the cards that we can most likely cut is maybe 1 or 2 spells and some Seacoast Drakes. On the other hand, this is 26, so we'd have to go down 4 cards to actually play with 18 lands. That's quite a lot. Didn't realize that we had that many playables. In a certain sense, Scroll Thief is just a weaker Seacoast Drake. The times where we will be successfully attacking with this and drawing extra cards while our opponent is doing nothing are just not very realistic. So having a 1/3 flyer for 2 is actually better than having a 1/3 ground creature for 3, that competes with the card draw that we also have. So that's actually an easier cut than I thought. And I would like to keep the remaining creatures, although I could see cutting one Seacoast Drake, because the third one just doesn't add the same utility as the other cards do. Glimpse the Future and Time Map don't look too amazing. I only like Time Map as a way to punish people for playing auras, and we already have Negate, Disperse, and Claustrophobia for that. So Time Map is a card that we could cut, and Glimpse the Future is probably a bit weaker than Divination, although I would like to try it. It's just a card that I've never cast, so I really want to see it in action. So cutting one Seacoast Drake seems reasonable, bringing us down to 24, and then we still need 2 cards to cut. It's clear that cutting anything but Elixir and Claustrophobia, which I don't want to cut, is going to make our Archaeomancers worse. So the real question is just which two spells can we actually get rid of without big sacrifices. There's maybe a potential to just play 17 lands, because we do have 3 cards that are drawing cards on turn 3, but I can almost never lose as long as I draw my mana, so I'd rather keep that. It's possible that we should just not play Time Map, because putting a creature on top of our opponent's library just so that they draw the threat again might not be what this deck is trying to accomplish overall. So let's see, if we put Time Map on there, back there, and we want to keep these, then one more card has to go. It's really difficult to find something to cut from this assortment. Maybe it's the Negate, because it's not going to be good early, and in the late game we can hopefully find some better interactions. I don't want to cut Disperse, because it is the one card that now, the one instant that now punishes auras, and it's an infinite combo with Archaeomancer, where you just replay Archaeomancer and keep dispersing. Okay, let's try this for the main deck, and then depending on what our opponent is trying to do, I think we have some powerful sideboarding options. I'm not going to play Lava Axis or a Quarter Shield, and I'm going to try it like this with 5 mountains, I think. Usually I'm fine with having one source more than the number of spells I'm trying to splash, but with the mana base that's good. With 13 islands I can afford to play 5 mountains. Yeah, this is interesting. I have no experience with this archetype, and I'm sure it could have looked even better, but my inexperience is also showing in the way I'm building this deck. I just don't know what the correct choices are, and how many card draw spells we need compared to spells that are actually solutions to what our opponents could be doing. I'm sure that we are going to learn that in the upcoming games, and then we can sideboard accordingly. I'm interested in how this goes. Let's see if our opportunity gamble pays off.